Welcome to another lab session. So in this lab session, you are going to look at automating infrastructure with a service offering by AWS called AWS CloudFormation. So you might want to deploy your infrastructure in a consistent and a reliable manner, right? And this can take a lot of time. You need to follow a lot of, documented procedures, and also without taking any shortcuts, right? And for example, if you are to deploy the same infrastructure across multiple environments, you understand how tedious that can be. So there is a need to automate that task with automation tools, and then one of these automation tools is AWS CloudFormation. So we are going to look at that. It is simple and then straightforward, right? Now to start up, we need to have something we call a stack template, right? So for you to deploy your infrastructure with CloudFormation, you will need to create a template. So with CloudFormation, you're able to design the template yourself, and then there are partners that also develop these templates that you can use. So for this lab, I have templates that I will use, and I would want us to preview that one by one. Okay, so I've already opened it in my VS Code, that is an ID environment. So this is a lab network template, and below is the content of the template. So it follows a certain syntax, right? So the first is the format version, and then the description. So you put a description there, and then now this template, this is a YAML template. You can use two types of file versions, or extensions. You can use a JSON and a YAML. Now JSON has quotation marks and then brackets, whilst the YAML doesn't have any of them. It's just the tests and then the colon, and then there you go, right? So the resources, the first one is a VPC, the second one is an internet gateway, a public route table, a public subnet, and it follows to, so the output, you are going to get a VPC and you are going to get a public subnet. So in summary, this template is going to create a VPC environment with one subnet, right? And then we can see the content from the code. So when you download your file, you'll be able to investigate that. Okay, all right, so let's go back to our AWS console, and I'll go to the CloudFormation console, and there is already a stack here. So this stack was what was used to create our environment for this lab session. So there are some contents there already. All right, there are some components there already. So on the console, I'll just click on create stack, and I'll choose with new resources. So we are coming to deploy our network layer. Now here our template is ready, so we can also use a sample template, right, from the console. So if you can see, there are some sample templates here, and then we can also create our template with the designer, right? But here we have our template ready, and then we want to upload the template. You can also sync the template from your Git repository, right? And then you can also get the template from an S3 bucket, but here it is on our local PC, so we would want to upload the file. So I'll choose file, and this is the directory that my files are in. So I'm first creating the network environment, so I'll choose the lab network. All right, so when it's done uploading, then I'll click on next. So for the task details, I'll choose lab, I'll type lab network. All right, and that will be it. I'll go to next, and I'll use a key value pair, so name and this inventory. Great. All right, so with the name we are done. There are other things that we can look at, stack policy, all those stuff, but for now we'll leave them as it is, and then we'll click on next. So I'll just review what I have, and I'm okay with it because we just created it from a template. So just submit it. Right, so once it's submitted, you can see from the event the creation is in progress. So we'll have to wait for just a few minutes, or let me say seconds, and then we should have some progress with our environment. So you can see immediately I refresh there, so you can see there is a VPC and an internet gateway creation, right? And then it's now in progress. So the status is what resource creation initiated, right? If I should refresh again, now they are complete, right? So this should create our VPC environment, right? So these are the public subnets access control lists is created and then associated. All right, so let's go to the resources, and we should also see the resources that are being created, right? So currently, let's see, the internet gateway is complete, the VPC is complete, route table is complete, access control list, the subnet, a route table, a route has been configured, and then now the internet gateway. Let me refresh if there are any new activities. Okay, so if you go to the output, we should now see the two outputs, right? So the public subnet and the VPC. Right, so these are the two outputs per the template that we had. These are the two that we got, right? So let's go back to events. Okay, so I think everything is done here. So if you look at the status here, it is what create complete. Right, so we can have a look at the template as well, and we should have the same template that we saw, right, when I open it with the code editor or the VS Code environment. Okay, so these are the outputs. Okay, so on the VPC dashboard, let me go to subnets and let me see if we have a public subnet there, and you can see the inventory subnet here, right? So this is the inventory resource. So let me go to your VPC, and you can see the inventory VPC here as well. So now we are going to deploy an application layer. So I mean, deploying with CloudFormation, you deploy your infrastructure in layers, right? So currently we have our network layer, and then we would want to also deploy an application layer, right? So if we should look at the application code, we can also see the application code here, right? So the same syntax. So this one has parameters, right, before the resource, right? So the parameter is the name of an active CloudFormation stack that contains the networking resources. Okay, so this is the network stack, and you can see the default is what the lab network, and then the AMI, the machine image that we are going to use, is the machine ID. So you have to know the ID as well, right? And that is easy to get. So now the resource is an EC2 instance. Okay, and I'm just giving us an overview of the needed information, and it is a simple web server. So this is the content of the web server, and it should be on an Apache web server. The instance type is a T2 micro. So this template, if you also want to deploy an EC2 instance, you can use a template like this and then edit the information in there, and then you use it, right, per your preference, right? So let's go back to the console, and then to CloudFormation, to stacks, and I'll create a new stack, right? And then with new resources, the template is ready. I'll upload the file, choose file, and this time the application. Okay, next, let me wait for it to, then next, the stack name is lab application, and the network stack name is the lab network, and you can see it is already chosen, and you can see parameters has also been populated, so it will use this AMI. We'll go to next. I'll tag this one, and this is an application, and it's an inventory application, so that is for the key value pair. Alright, leave everything as it is, and then go to next, review, and submit. Okay, So let me refresh this one as well, so you can see the creation is in progress. So this template included creating a security group. So let me refresh again, and you can see the web server instances now in progress being created. So here you are able to monitor the activities or the events that is going on according to the specifications in your CloudFormation template. Okay, so for instances, you know, the instances takes some time to be fully ready, so we have to wait for some time. Okay, so let me refresh once again. Okay, so it's still in progress, so let's wait, but we can take a look at the resources and see. Yes, so it's created a security group and the instance, and then now it's creating the EC2 volume, right? So that's the attached volume, the EBS volume that needed to be attached to the EC2. So it has created it, and then now it is attaching the volume. So the volume attachment is complete, and you can see the stack creation is now complete. If we should go to the output, we should see the URL of our website, right? So I can copy this and paste it here, press enter, and it should give me successfully launched the AWS CloudFormation sample. So this is the sample HTML code that was in the CloudFormation template, right? So let's go back to our console and then look at the components that we have. So let's go to security group, because we created a security group, right? And there was a part of the code that allowed inbound, right? So I'll search for security, and you can see web server security is here, right? So this created a web server security group, and I'll search for HTTP. I want to see the parts that allowed, so you can see the EC2 security group enable HTTP ingress, so it means it allows HTTP traffic, right, inbound, and it was on the port 80. So let's go back to the management console, and you can see the web server security group is here, and it's for the lab application. All right, so let's look at the inbound rule there, and we can see that the inbound rule is just as was specified on the CloudFormation template. All right, so that is the beauty of it. I mean, if you are supposed to create this, it will take you a significant amount of time for you to create all these components, because you have to create your VPC, create your subnets, create all the route tables, and then configure them. But with just a simple template, in just a matter of minutes, all these will be provisioned for you, right? And then it's promotes consistency with deploying your infrastructure as well, right? So that is the importance of automation. Okay, so you are also able to update your stack, right? So when you create anything, you are also able to update your stack. So here we would want to update our lab application server, and this time it should include another rule, inbound rule, that is SSH. Okay, so we have the template also here. Once again, this template can be found on the canvas, right? And I just want to see the SSH, so let me just search for port 22 here, and you can see security group ingress, right? So this time it will add another rule to allow inbound SSH on port 22. Okay, so this is the update file that we are going to upload. So back to the management console and to CloudFormation with so I will have to select the template, right, the stack that I would want to update. So you see we have the lab network template, and then we have the lab application template. Now I would want to update the lab application template, so I will have to select it and then click on update. Now I want to replace the current update, and I'll upload a template file, choose the file, and this time the lab application 2. Okay, wait for it to upload and then click on next. Here I'll leave everything as it is. So the stack options, I'll also leave it as it is. I'll go to next. All right, so you can see from the review, right, that there are changes that are going to be made, right? And then the changes is just to modify the security group. It is not going to replace any resource, right? So what's this updates does is that it looks at the elements. So whatever that you specify in your template, so let's go back. Whatever that is specified in this template, it doesn't change anything. So you can see the context is here, everything is here. So it only takes note of the differences and then it affects that, right? It doesn't replace any resource. Okay, so let's go back to the console and submit the update. Awesome, so the update is in progress. So let's refresh and the update is now complete, right? So we'll go back to the security group. Let me refresh. And if I should select the web server security group and scroll down, you can see the SSH rule has been added. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that we can also use the designer, the CloudFormation designer, to design our own template. We can also use that to investigate our template or explore our template, right? So on the CloudFormation console, I'll head to designer, and then on the designer page, I can create a new file or open a new file, right? So here I'm opening a new file, so I'll click on open and I can open a file from an S3 bucket or I can open a local file. Right, then here I'll open the application tool template and you can see this is the templates that we have, right? From here I can switch between YAML and then JSON. So the designer also has like an inbuilt converter, right? So you can see how the JSON code looks like. If I let me resize it, and you can see it includes some quotation marks and brackets and then all that. So it is very difficult, especially when you want to debug a JSON template, right? Because you might just have missed a quotation mark and then you have to, scroll through a lot of code lines to troubleshoot your code. So this one has like 164, right? It can go up to 1,000 lines of code, and imagine debugging just to find a quotation mark, right? So the YAML kind of make it easier, right? And here we can also edit this template. Let me just see if I can just add something, right? So if I should put this one here, I can now drag this and I think I can just link the app to the web server, and then there you go. So I link that to the security group. So it more or less like depends on the security group. So the same rule that applies to the instance will be applied to what I just put it in. I can also remove it. I can remove this line as well. You can see that I can undo. I can undo all the actions and then come back to where I started from. So that is the beauty of CloudFormation, right? So you are able to edit your YAML code or edit your templates using the GUI, right, with just a drag and drop, and you can also just go ahead and then edit the code here in the code editor. So once you're able to create and then update a stack, you're also able to delete a stack. So let me close the designer and then let's go back to the console. Now, regardless of the fact that a component or your YAML code or your infrastructure has been designed to have interdependencies on different elements in different stacks, you are still able to manage each stack dependently. So supposing you have two departments, your network department and your application department. So the network department deploys their network environments, and then the application department also deploy their application, which has let's say the EC2 instance depend on the VPC, that is the public subnet or what have you, right? Each department is able to manage their individual stack without it affecting each other's stack, right? So I'll select the lab application stack and then delete it, and we can go ahead and then check the details, right? So if I should refresh now, okay, so we see the delete is now in progress, and what I'll do is I'll click on it so that we'll go into the details of the activities, and I'll go to event. I'll refresh again. So it takes a couple of time to actually delete, but you can see some events have been triggered since I initiated deletion. You can see the disk mount points complete, disk volume complete. So I'll refresh and there is a new activity. So you can see the disk volume deletion was in progress and now it has been deleted. So let me refresh once again and it's now deleting the web server instance itself. So it deleted the disk volume and then let's look at the code. I want a portion for us to appreciate, right? So what I will do is I will search for delete no, not this. I think delete policy. No. All right, so let me scroll down a little bit. There is a part that I want us to appreciate, right? So now you see this one has a delete on termination, so it means that the volume is going to be deleted, right? And then when you scroll down, you see the deletion policy. So this was the right thing I was searching for. The deletion policy says that it says it should create a snapshot. So it means that even when or even though the volume will be deleted, it should still create a snapshot of that volume, right? So that we can restore it later. And you can see the attribute is 100 gigabytes volume with a key value pair of name and web data. So let's go back to the management console and refresh. So now deletion is now complete. Let's go to the stack info. You can see the deletion is also complete. Now if you should go back to the stacks, you see that the lab application is deleted without affecting the network. So let's go back to the EC2 console, and on the EC2 console I will scroll down and go to snapshots, and on snapshots you can see the snapshot has been created with the name web data and it has the size of 100 GB. If we should go back to this code, and you can see here the deletion policy is a snapshot and then the tag is what name, the value is what web data. Okay, so and then the size is also 100, right? So that's the disk volume and then the snapshot of that disk volume. So you are able to set a delete policy for your stack, right? A deletion policy for your stack. So anytime you would want to delete your stack, maybe you would want to maintain certain things, right? You can set a deletion policy to maintain those stuff. So that is the beauty of CloudFormation and then automation. And from the CloudFormation, you are able to have a trail like of our activities that has gone on, right? So you can see from the events, see there are events, whoever initiated it, you are able to audit, right, your automation to see who was responsible for what, right? And then you are also able to have consistent deployment across your environment. So that will be about it for this demonstration. I hope you liked it and I'll see you in another video.